How's it going, Sagittarius? It's Wes with Aurawest Tarot. Today we're going to be doing your March monthly spread. This is going to be a progressive spread, meaning that I'm going to draw 5 particular situations which are going to essentially go from around the beginning of March, which is obviously now, since we're March 1st, and it's going to progress through towards the end of March. Okay? I'm going to try and incorporate some generalized messages along with what the actual messages are saying here in the spread. And I want you to know I won't be shuffling any cards in this reading, and the reason is because there's just too many, and it would have taken a long time, probably like 5 minutes, and then probably another 20 minutes for me to even understand what the hell it's even saying. So I've done that beforehand, okay, to make life easier. There's probably a good 40 cards on this spread here, divided between 3 different decks. So it's kind of complicated, but I have spent a good amount of time to try and decipher these messages, and so I'm going to talk about that with you and try and make sense of it all. Yes. Okay, March is definitely going to be a month for, and so far a lot of the signs, a lot of transformation, a lot of changes, and kind of leaving old things that no longer serve you behind. But without further ado, Sagittarius, let's get right into it. Okay. So, beginning for March, and this is going to, once again, can't apply to all of you, so I'm going to hopefully reach a decent amount of you, but starting off your March, it does show here straight off the bat, a deliberation energy with the Two of Wands, okay? Sagittarius, this is a card that generally talks about choice of 2 different lovers, 2 different paths. It's a decision card, just similar to the Two of Swords in ways, but it is Wands energy, so it is action. Which way do you go about things? Clarifying your Two of Wands, it's showing here that there is possibly a desire for a stable soulmate connection of some sort. I mean, obviously, in a perfect world, we'd all get that, meet that one person immediately, and life would be easy and just throw it right on to us on a silver platter for us. But that's not always, obviously, reality. But it does show the Four of Wands as a card of progress. It also is a family, home. For a lot of you, might be wanting to have a family. And it also could just be talking about, choosing the right person for that. Okay, a lot of us aren't married. I don't really get a sense this is somebody that's already involved. It does definitely signify the lovers being there and stuff, that this is probably more for someone that's single, trying to deliberate whether or not, how do I get that? Which way do I go to get that? Okay, I clarified what the other wand was, and it was showing here Justice card going to 3 of Cups and the Moon card, if you can see all of that. And what this is indicating here, Sagittarius, is there could also be a thought in your mind that might be considering an offer from potentially either it's an offer or it could be just an interest of some sort in a lover that might have been from the past. Okay, 3 of Cups can't talk about that. Can also talk about just having options and stuff like that. But with the Moon card, it does show some fear, mystery, and concern. And the Justice card does talk about situations that, are they balanced, are they fair? Can talk about karma coming in and stuff like that. But I get a sense that this could be somebody that may show up in the next couple days, or that might have, be someone that you know from your past that's probably wanting to kind of start something up to a degree. And there's a reason why I'm saying that. Is because in your advice for this, normally I was going to go to the outcome, but I'm going to go over the advice first for this particular situation, is that you have Page of Cups here, which can sometimes be somebody that is kind of in a playful energy or an optimistic energy to want to kind of throw around maybe the possibility of rekindling things, or, when we get back together. Okay, but what's funny is you got the Justice card again, and it's going to, right here, the 8 of Cups. So this tells me it could have been a situation, once again, that was emotionally unfulfilling for you that you had to walk away from, okay, leave behind. It might have been related to that the situation was either not fair to some extent, or it could have been one-sided. It might have been wondering, and this could also be a consideration energy for some of you in the moment right now on whether to leave a situation that's no longer fulfilling you. Why would that be? Why would the advice be talking about that? This might be asking you if, for those of you that are in a semi-loose connection with somebody that you're not really getting any real emotional satisfaction from it, it might be begging the question of, you know, putting you up in your mind on whether or not could this be out there? Is it possible for me? Or do you reheat up leftovers about a situation or something like that, probably that didn't work in the past and stuff like that. And I think the advice is asking you to really evaluate whether or not that situation was really a fair situation. Was it something that you enjoyed? Were you getting your emotional fulfillment? Was this person really working with you? Or were they just sucking your time, sucking your funds, your money, and just kind of, you know, dipping around a little bit? Those are kind of the situations that really test us in life, because oftentimes there is emotional attachment to those situations, which is why the Eight of Cups does talk about sometimes leaving some of those cups behind and going towards the moon, something where you don't really have a lot of clarity on where you're going, and it's just like, this is a familiar situation, but I have to walk away from it, because at the end of the day, I'm not really getting much from it. But it doesn't change the fact that it's a difficult thing to do. And you've had Justice now 2 times in the first part, so this does really kind of, and I think you're aware of it, and that's probably why the Two of Wands is there. It's kind of a concern on whether or not to move forwards and away from that situation, or just kind of reject the offer, just say, you know, maybe it wasn't working, maybe it wasn't for me, maybe it's better for me to go and find somebody else. For others of you, if this is not related to love, can also just talk about simply you wanting your ideal life that you're trying to find. But at the same time, it can be a concern of, will I ever find a partner that can share that with me to some extent? So it's unavoidable here to say it's anything really else. It has to be something around some degree of concern about the type of person that you really want in your life. Okay, your outcome here. What's interesting is the Queen of Swords going to the Six of Swords, and this probably suggests one of 2 things. Either this is, and this is where I had trouble with your reading here to some extent, is trying to figure out if this is communication from a possible air sign, a mature air sign, that may be telling you that they are deciding to leave the situation from you. Maybe this is a breakup for some of you. It's very much, when I looked at your reading, and you'll see why once I'm done here, why it could indicate that this could be a breakup for some of you. Somebody that has recently decided to maybe leave the situation, just decided they had enough for one reason or another, or they just weren't feeling that they weren't getting much out of it, or maybe they just didn't really give you an answer. I don't know. Six of Swords does talk about moving on to calmer waters and stuff, but it doesn't change the fact that in Crow Tarot, and I wish we would have got the Crow version, because that one actually shows it a lot better. The waters are calm here, but this is generally after the storm, so they're showing kind of a progression, a forward movement. In the Crow Tarot, it's actually the waves crashing and all that stuff, and I'm not going to go fish around for it, but it does sometimes indicate rocky times, and you're leaving that. You're actually leaving that because of the fact that you wanted to go towards something that could probably be more fulfilling to you, something that would be more your ideal lover. Perhaps the person you've been with, for those of you that have been in a relationship for a long time, maybe that just, there's a lot of history there and stuff. And, fuck it, we're going to go find this card. I have to show it to you because it's so worth your time to just look at this. I've been talking about this card for so long, Sagittarius, I'm not going to lie, in a lot of other readings, and I just never seem to have it on me. And I was like, it's such a prominent focus. Here it is. Oh my god, found it. Here's what I was talking about. You see all those waves churning around there? That's what it's talking about. And you can kind of see here the contrast where waves crashing and now it's calm waters here. So they're showing a kind of future progression there. But notice something here that's also important here. It's snowing, indicating cold, and what is that referring to? The Five of Pentacles, being left out in the cold, having to fly away from that situation. But notice there's feathers here, indicating that crow had a lot. It's almost like the cups in some way, a referral to that there was a part of you invested in that situation. And what's interesting is that I believe there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, it's 6 feathers and stuff like that. But notice all the cups there. It's almost like talking. There was emotions here, but I had to fly away. Time's getting hard, getting tough. I have to move on to calmer waters. The grass is occasionally greener somewhere else. Okay, but once again, it could be, like I said, somebody that maybe you're breaking up with, or it could be a decision to just walk away from somebody that has been in your life a lot, but it hasn't really gone anywhere. Okay, Ten of Swords is showing up in the progression here, indicating that it's a painful cycle that's technically coming to a close, but nonetheless, it's a painful cycle. It's 10 swords in your back, but you have Knight of Wands that's going to it. This probably suggests here, Sagittarius, that you're taking action, bold action, to basically triumph through the Ten of Swords energy, which is a difficult energy because, I mean, look at the guy. It's not very fun. It can't talk about cheating affairs, just a lot of negative things that oftentimes are not pleasant. It's Swords energy, and the Ten of Swords is not supposed to be a pleasant card, but it does typically indicate that a difficult cycle is coming to a close, although you still may be riding through it a little bit. In the Knight of Wands is suggesting you are, but you're doing it well. You're kind of taking it well, should I say. And obviously it's going to be different for everyone. Some people might be, in reality, some of you might be doing a little bit better than others, okay? But overall, you're trying to keep your head up high. And I think this optimism is also coming from the fact of, I'm leaving behind a situation. Either this is somebody else that's telling you this, or it's you, okay? It could go either way, to be honest. But either or, it does show, whatever the outcome is that you are trying to basically push through it, okay? And even if it's nothing to do with love, maybe it's a situation involving having to leave, just, I don't know, a family situation, for God's sakes. Maybe you want to go and find love and stuff like that, and you've been trying to take care of everyone and do everything for them the whole time, and you're just like, man, my whole life is just going by, and I can't be doing this the whole time. Taking care of 3 different people, and they should be taking care of themselves. Some people get in those situations, it's really tough, where it's just like caregiver burnout type thing, and you're just like, shit, I don't know how much more of my life I can devote to trying to do everything for everyone else, which in some cases there's people that are perfectly capable of doing stuff on their own, but they're taking advantage of you because of the fact that they're like, well, you do it, so I'll let you do it. And that can lead to a burnout because it's like, that's not a good balance in life. You got to look after your own needs, your own emotional care, to some extent, right? Now, after this Ten of Swords occurs, we do have the Moon card right here going to the Four of Pentacles, and this can talk about holding on to what you got, almost a fear of like losing it to some extent. It's like mine because it's like I don't want to lose anything more than I have. Just lost a bunch, this has been difficult for me. And the Moon is talking once again about illusions. You can talk about fears, unknowns, the darkness is over things, a lot of situations where you may not have the answers to where I'm going. How's it going to turn out? What's life going to be like if I do that? If I leave this person, how are they going to react? There's a lot of things we don't know. But it does also, the good news about the Moon card is it does kind of introduce part of your intuition, which does talk about that voice that's kind of telling you, move in that direction. You know something may be kind of concerning, but it's like that voice is telling you the reward, the payoff, and stuff like that. Doing that might be something you'll overcome, but it may have something very positive at the end of the rainbow. May have a rainbow at the end of the tunnel type thing, or a light at the end of the tunnel, I guess is a better way to say it. Your advice here also furthermore says Page of Swords, which does talk about here throwing around new ideas, being open to that. And what's it going to? Eight of Wands, progression, massive moving forwards onto something, aligning to a goal that you want to work on and stuff. Have a vision of where you want to go. Okay, there's only so long. Two of Wands energy can, like I said, there's only so long you can really keep one foot in the safe zone and one foot out, trying to branch out. You eventually have to go and do it, and then not only do it, but also invest time and effort into it. Things don't come to our lives overnight, and a lot of times to get something off the ground, it requires a lot of work and a lot of persistence forwards. And the best way to do that is to make a plan on how you can accomplish that. There's plenty of, luckily, if you're watching this and you have internet access, there's a million different websites that can help you obviously make a game plan. People devote their entire lives, like life coaches and things. Perhaps or counselors. If you need assistance with that, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to go and reach out and just get, somebody to help you overcome if you really suck at trying to make goals for yourself or something like that. Sometimes enlisting the help of somebody else is not a bad idea, okay? We're human. We're not supposed to do every last little thing by ourselves. And a lot of people try to do it because it's a confidence thing, but, at the end of the day, you can burn yourself out like that. Okay? Manage bite-sized pieces on what you can manage in your life, okay? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with what? A single step. Okay. Moving on here. So we are kind of coming out of this funky kind of energy here, where you're kind of a lot of unknowns. Probably, like I said, a breakup for some of you. And it's going to, what's interesting is the universe is bringing potential. A lot of potential with Ace of Wands here. Ace of Wands can just directly talk about forward movement, a brand new idea, a new direction of going into something, and it's going to what? The World card. That's fantastic. That literally talks about that you're having, in some cases, closure. So I wonder, with this Wands energy right here, this Knight of Wands energy, I given that you're a fire sign, I intuitively, I do look at these as people in these reads, but at the same time, I have to kind of deliberate whether it's your energy or somebody else. I get a sense this is you, and that's why I wasn't saying it was somebody else. I get a sense, and the reason is because of the fact that this opportunity comes here, and I think it's closure, and I think you're kind of trying to basically control yourself, your emotions a little bit, on having to walk away from a situation that was difficult. We already had the Six of Swords, and the Eight of Cups is showing up, I think, twice in this reading. But it does seem like a desire to wants to basically go into a different direction. Remember, we had that Lovers here, and that stability, maybe a new family for some of you, who knows, something around that, or just maybe a success or an achievement. That can also be in the Four of Wands, indicating that could be something that you want. I want to have a successful book. I want to have a successful new career. I want to go back to college and accomplish something different, become a doctor or something like that. Maybe it's just it's a dream to do something radically different that you've never had time to do before. Okay, the advice here is the Star, indicating to make sure you hold on to that dream. Never stop believing it. Have faith in the universe that it'll deliver something, and you'll see the light. There's the Star right there. Very important, because it's a beacon of light, just like almost providing hope. Because there's going to be a lot of dark situations, and you've had the moon twice, so I have no doubt there's a lot of darkness that's clouding your mind during, obviously maybe the first, right now, maybe the first week, maybe the next 10 days, 12 days. It could be an event. It may not be the whole week. It could just be a day or two. Who knows? But that doubt sometimes can really cloud our minds. But the universe is saying, manifest what you want, have hope, because then the Star will cast light over that, right? Your outcome here is you are in your head with the Eight of Swords, and it's going to the Eight of Cups here, which is very interesting, because it almost suggests here, Sagittarius, that you're almost feeling a bit stuck to some extent, despite having this opportunity for closure. And just remember, it's still an opportunity. So it doesn't, even though it's a lot of energy, it may be the start of something to want to close something out. So it doesn't necessarily have to indicate that you have closed it out at this point. And this would be around mid-March for what I'm talking about right here. So a good 15 days away. But it might just be how this shows up is going to be absolutely different for everyone, and it can be big or small, meaning that some people are going to have massive success and closure with something, and it's going to be very prominent, and others it's going to be very subtle. Okay, these cards don't really, they don't actually have any real specifications on what it looks like. It can be very different for everyone. Just having a very small success may not be something very relevant to a lot of people, but for you it might be. So just be aware of that, okay? But I do see that there is a concern here of some sort about almost, it's a questioning in some cases of whether it was the right thing for me to walk away from this or try something different. You may be, and this could also be referring to, like, for example, what we were talking about earlier, if you're trying to walk away from a partner, or they left you, or walking away from a situation where you had a lot of people asking you to do stuff from the whole time and stuff. It's sucky to have to sometimes, when you have you've invested so much time into situations, that you have to leave, and it might be paralyzing to you, like kind of weighing in your mind. And it's like, on the one hand, you can do better and close things out and go in a different direction, but trying to actually envision it and do it is a whole other story. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we could just blink our eyes and we'd be done, just like that? Unfortunately, no great victory was achieved without a lot of work behind it. And in life, honestly, Sagittarius, life does that in some cases, because when you look back at all the struggles and everything you had to go through to get to that new place where you're more fulfilled and more happy, it's so much more fulfilling and better, because that you did all that work, you went through all of that. versus if you just got it delivered to you, the value in it is almost none. And this is one of the reasons why you have these people, these massive tycoons that are phenomenally rich and stuff like that, and a lot of them end up being depressed. Okay, and granted, it's not all of them, but I mean, there's a lot of people like those spoiled kids that just get given everything. And what are they on? They're on painkillers and drugs and alcohol, just doing reckless things, because it's like there's no meaningful impact behind the things that they're receiving. And it's like, it's nice to have a sports car in the driveway, but it's like you never earned it, you just got given it. Well, there's nothing to really say, I earned that, I worked for that, the emotions that went behind it, it just got given to you. So sometimes life kind of knows that, the struggles that you go through to get to what you want can be very painful, but pain is a powerful motivator. It gets you to change. And I think that's why it's just telling you, despite whatever is happening in your life, be optimistic about it. You really need to maintain your composure and, again, not lose sight of manifesting exactly what you want. Now, moving on here, Sagittarius, once again, we're entering in from this Eight of Swords. You're coming into, I think you might go, like I said, through a bit of a stuck period, maybe a bit down in the dumps a little bit, here and there during the middle of March, but moving on to around the 20th probably of March or something like that, you're going to come into this stagnation energy a little bit with the Two of Swords. And it's not full stagnation, it's just talking about you're going to have some thoughts coming to your mind probably about it's going to go two ways. You had clarifying. I clarified quite heavily to this, and on the one side, on the one sword, it's the Six of Pentacles going to the Two of Cups. Okay, and then on your other hand here, if I can get this out here, is Seven of Pentacles going to the High Priestess. Okay, what this talks about is, to some extent, the one hand is referring back to this right here, indicating should I follow through with what I started? Okay, and this is once again getting going, moving on, and stuff like that. And there's going to be things, because it's like it's so easy for a lot of us to start stuff, but at the end of the day, to finish it is another story, and to maintain momentum. And it's oftentimes the first month doing something radically different or going in a different direction that's the most trying, the most testing, because you're so used to caving into certain things, triggers and things like that, or doing things in a different way, that putting this whole new routine into play, and especially weight loss is a great example. People are always able to get to that gym the first couple times, and then it becomes like, what did I sign myself up for type thing. And I think there's like a part of you is kind of deliberating, like, kind of like questioning, like the Seven of Pentacles is really talking about like evaluating progress and where you're going and what you've been getting and stuff like that. And I think you're trying to follow your intuition about it, and knowing that that's the right thing to do. I really need to evaluate and maintain that what I'm doing is basically the better path here. Okay, because if your crops basically produced very little, but maybe you got just enough to survive on, and you got all the familiarity of the territory and everyone there, it might be a temptation to want to stay there, but at the same time, I'm not really getting much from it. Okay, and what's interesting here is that you also have the Six of Pentacles, as I said, with the Two of Cups, and I almost wonder, to some extent, it's like this manifestation as well, once again, wanting and this can talk about relationships with people, and it may not just be a lover. For some of you, as I said in this reading, it could be. For others of you, it could also talk about relationships with just other people, like I said, people that could be family, people that are friends, social networks, and things like that. And this is a card of equal give and take to some extent. It's like, whatever you're giving out, if you're the type of person that loves to help and give and be the giver, that's great and all, but make sure that you're getting back, okay? For those of you that left a connection or something like that, or had a breakup and stuff like that, it may be a temptation to want to return to that person after a period of time goes by, but really ask yourself, the amount of time and effort, love and affection and whatever that you're putting into that situation, was it equally reciprocated, or was it an unrequited love situation? Why give? There are plenty of hands here grabbing on, and but at the same time, it's like it can deplete you very quick if you're not careful, because there's a finite amount of money in your coffers, a finite amount of your emotions that you gave in your time and energy, and it's like people can drain that very quick when you allow them to. Okay, so, and if it's not, like I said, an old lover and stuff, maybe once again, coming back to what I was talking about earlier, if you're trying to meet the demands of so many people that really could be doing a lot more for themselves and stuff like that, that can be relationships that you might feel invested in, but at the same time getting very little back. And it's kind of, weighing in your head. Was this the right thing to do? Kind of one of those kind of things. And once again, I don't know. Was it the right thing to walk away from that? Should I, It could be a test, and honestly, I have no doubt the universe is wanting to kind of do that. And your advice over here is talking about what was interesting is we have the Justice card for the third time. You had all three Justices from all three decks come into your reading. Interestingly enough, I haven't had the Justice card come out for any of the other signs so far. So you had it 3 times, equal give and take, once again. It's so prominent in your reading, and you also have 6 of Pentacles twice, and we'll get to that again in a second here. So this seems to be a core focus, apparently going towards the end of March and stuff like that, and actually right throughout March. But I get a feeling this King of Wands is you, Sagittarius, and this 2 of Wands, lo and behold, we have it again. It was in the beginning there, now it's in your advice there. Justice was in the advice there, and it's in here again. Once again, cautioning, and then we have the King of Swords here. I wonder to some extent if this Queen here, same person, with the King of Swords energy showing up here, both of these are mature energies, and I have no doubt it could have been an air sign that you walked away from, or that left you and something like that. And I almost wonder if once again this can also be the choice of 2 lovers. Perhaps you have another person that's on the board here. You've got 2 kings, so maybe if it's not you, it could be 2 different people that you're choosing between, potentially for a portion of you. But Justice is coming out once again. Make sure you pick wisely in your path. And even if it's just one person, ask yourself, is it worth breaking the progress that you've made to go back to reheating old leftovers? Something that probably didn't work out, and it's already putting in your mind and stuff like that. Okay? I think in your outcome here is what's interesting is that you have 2 cards that really depict the opposite of each other, and you both got Pentacle energy here. So I clarified to this 2 of Pentacles, which was the outcome for this situation, Sagittarius, and it's going to the 5 of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. What does that indicate? It indicates a juggling to some extent of kind of feeling like emotional poverty, but at the same time going to emotional stability. And this could also talk about feeling financially impoverished versus having great stability. So like I said, remember these messages can kind of go either way depending on your situation. So a lot of you might be leaving a situation, as I said, that was just very difficult, wasn't really yielding much, and now it's kind of a question of feeling like maybe this is going to drain me or it's going to go really well. Because it does show here a progressive energy of trying to becoming successful in whatever venture that you're going on next. Which once, as I said before, it could be a lot of different things. Just apply it to your life how you see it. But I think there is it's trying to really balance out. 5 of Pentacles can also just feeling left out in the cold. And obviously, if this person maybe left you, for example, maybe this is something that you're just kind of like, fuck, that really sucks. I'm trying to basically manage my own stability. Maybe this could be you. And how do I, try to juggle it. Because, once again, you've been in your mind, you get the Moon card here twice, and you're in 2 of Swords energy, all that kind of stuff. So it could be kind of that warring kind of going in your head, trying to figure out the best solution to this. Now, coming to the end of your the month of March here and the reading, we once again have, remember we had the 6 of Pentacles? What's very interesting, and that was clarifying to the 2 of Swords there, is this is coming from, and this is what I find interesting, is that it's going to the 10 of Swords and Death. Remember you had 10 of Swords here in that ones earlier in the month, right? Well, guess what? Now you have it coming back here. And I think what this is really begging the question of is to kind of like close, so Death is a powerful card talking about change. So let's just go through that first, and then it'll kind of make sense with this other, what I'm trying to get at here. Death is a card that generally indicates that cycle of some sort, something that's no longer serving you, has come to an end, and it's trying to induce change and transformation. What is it going to? The Ten of Swords. Remember that painful cycle we had earlier. And I think this is now talking about you being open to wanting to give again. Now, if you really think about it, if you've been through a difficult cycle, something that's traumatic, something that was very emotionally taxing, regardless of if it was related to love or not, it can put us in a very guarded state. And I've no doubt with the Two of Swords and the Eight of Swords here that you're kind of in your mind feeling stuck, trapped a bit. A lot of that, a lot of the time we'll be a bit more emotionally shut off at that point. And especially if you had somebody that cheated on you or left you and stuff like that, you may be guarded to the point where you don't really feel that you really want to be open. But I think this is you, in this particular context, taking a chance. And once again, we had that opportunity to close things out, move forwards. And I think you're kind of at this point just saying, you know what, I'm going to just brush it off, and I want to be open to it. But at the same time, I think it's still lurking in your mind about that, that situation that happened. And I further know this because I also clarified it, I double clarified it. And I wanted to show you this, which was found very interesting, was that it was going to the Seven of Swords and the Strength card. Now, what does that indicate? It could be indicating that, Strength does talk about overcoming, overpowering, and taking control of very challenging and especially emotional situations that are taxing your mind or weighing heavily on your situation. And you may have fears that maybe the next partner, if you were to get one and you were to be, this equal give and take, that someone's going to screw you again. Seven of Swords is someone getting away with something, sometimes just screwing someone over. And obviously, if you got hurt in a situation or it felt like you really got screwed over really bad, there might be that doubt that's also creeping in, saying, like, is this going to happen again? It could. But at the same time, this is where it's going to really blow your mind, is that your advice is talking about a card that also talks about betrayal and, warlike energies and stuff, a loss for everyone, which it seems like you've already gone through something difficult. And it's talking about the advice, and when I clarify to it, it's going to strength. What does that talk about? Once again, we have strength here and strength there, both in the same message. And this was an advice clarifying to it, Sagittarius. And then that directly is talking about, once again, you're going to face that difficult dilemma of something that could really be a sense of fear. Okay? This fear can really put you into the devil energy very quickly, because the devil energy can talk about, once again, fears that start to consume your mind, plague you, and start pulling you into doing things that are really not fulfilling you, but it's out of a sense of wanting security and putting your time and energy into situations that are safe, that don't really actually fulfill you or progress you forward, but at the same time just kind of keep you safe. At least you think you do, but it's really a chain around your neck, keeping you snared to something. And a lot of times the only way through to get out of those changes is that you got to overcome the shit that's really putting you there. And it does seem that you are doing that, but it is kind of warning you there to some extent that even though you're doing a good job and it does seem like you're going to be open, just be careful not to let this overpower you, these concerns about somebody screwing you over, because you can't really get this perfect opportunity or someone to come in if you're approaching the situation from, you're going to screw me over. You might not say that to the person, but oftentimes it's written all over your body language, especially if you're manifesting it. Humans are not, unfortunately, good at hiding things. And yeah, I'm sure there are a handful of people that probably claim that they get away with everything. Fine, good for you. But the rest of us that are normal, generally, when someone is basically coming from a fearful state. The ways they talk, do things, they're guarded, the way that, they kind of always halt. Oh, I don't want to do that, or blah, 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 or they have to take it, they have to drag everything on. And really, it's like, at the back of your head, for anyone that's been through a lot of relationships and stuff, the person's guarding because something bad's happened. And most times, guess what? The minute it starts rolling off their tongue, it's like, that they've been through that. It's a sabotaging behavior. And that's also where I think the Seven of Swords is coming in. You have to be aware sometimes that if you want, a lot of us want to find new love and you want to attract this perfect partner and stuff like that, but being in a defensive guarded state and trying to control everything and make sure that it's, there's extremes to everything in life, and this has the potential right here to go to the extreme where there's such a concern of being screwed over, or you're never going to find that right person, I need to screen them extra hard, that you start missing opportunities because you're just turning people off. It's like, well, I'm, doing everything the right way, but, a lot of times you got to ask yourself, who's really giving you feedback? Yourself? I mean, because if you're biased to your own behavior, how the hell do you know? It's like, I'm doing a good job. Well, I mean, if you're the only one telling yourself you're doing a good job, then I guess you're doing a good job. But I mean, it's good to have constructive feedback. That's why a lot of experts, especially in dating and financial coaching and stuff like that, that's why it's always good to go and get constructive feedback from somebody that's good. Don't go to your ex for feedback. They're not the person to get feedback from. Somebody that you absolutely trust, that's wiser than yourself, to really ask for constructive feedback about the things that you're saying. I've watched this guy, Coach Corey Wayne, for example, and this is more of a male coach, but this was in my earlier years. I watched a lot of him, and I learned a lot of his material, and it really did absolutely help my life. I actually made I overcome a lot of challenges and problems and stuff. Thanks to his material, it really changed my life. But what was very interesting about some of the things I started, as my knowledge and awareness became better over the years, I started to see the emails which were reflecting a lot of the behavior that I used to do in my past. And what was absolutely mind-blowing is that these same people doing the same behaviors and things I used to do, which got me into a lot of crappy scenarios, situations, being a doormat and all that kind of stuff, was stuff I was oblivious to. And I was sitting there like, I remember a long time ago, like, I thought I was doing everything right. But it's only until you reflect back, you see, like, Jesus, I was so off the mark, and my behavior, the way I was acting and stuff, the jealousy and all this kind of stuff was just, I was oblivious to it. So it does kind of, once again, I mean, that was a bit, obviously, an over explanation there, but I mean, it is something important to know. And just be aware of, okay? Given that you've got the 5 of Swords and going to the Strength there, it's definitely talking about emotional control here, and also conquering your fears, and don't allow it to overpower you, okay? And just keep in mind, you'll notice that it's not the chain, or the Devil card has the chain around the person's neck, the two people, generally the lovers and stuff. But notice the chain is around the lion. She conquered. This lion is a ferocious animal. It's something that many people fear, but she's conquered it, and she's looking up to the sun. And you know what's very, very interesting here? Looking up to the sun? Your outcome here is Knight of Swords to the Sun card. It suggests in the outcome here that you're on your way to basically finding a brand new, emotionally fulfilling life. And the Sun card directly talks about confidence within yourself, individuality, okay, and seeing the light on all the situations that were dark, indicating that the universe will bring you the clarity when the time is right. Okay, so sometimes, as I said, ask and it shall be revealed to you. And it does seem the universe brings in the wish for you, okay, to basically find new progress. Now, a lot of you are asking, does this mean I get my soulmate? Does this mean I get this? It's not about, you have to understand, it's not about just getting something. This is not a casino where it's like you spin the wheel and you get delivered $1 million or something like that. It's about your progression in life moving forwards and where you're going and stuff like that, and really looking and going after the things that you want, okay? And nothing in life is just given to you on a silver platter, as I said earlier. You have to really want it, and you have to first conquer the situations that are putting you in the darkness before you can really be seen in the light in the situations you want to be in. Okay, if you haven't conquered the situations that are binding you, that are emotionally unfulfilling, then how can you possibly be in situations that you want and not have changed any of your behavior? You have to be able to change that behavior to get what you want. And that's the most challenging part that people don't really want to do. You have to do the work to get to the emotional work, the shadow work, and all that kind of stuff to get to where you want to be. So start small. Obviously, I think I said this reading once before. It might have been Aries. I don't know. But journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You have to be able to start something to get to the end of the journey. Can't wish to just be at the end of the journey. And even if you could, would it be really satisfying? I don't think so. But anyways, Sagittarius, thanks for staying with me. If you're at the end of this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this video. It's going to be a rough month for you. But I think that you've got a lot of potential here, and I think the following month after that is going to bring a lot of success if you're able to conquer these challenges that are coming for you. Okay? And remember, life is always, despite whatever these readings say, is an element of choice, meaning that things can always change depending on what you choose and how you respond to it. So, nothing, choose wisely. But anyways, Sagittarius, that's what I got for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.